Loneliness is usually imagined as an empty space. A phone that never rings. A bed with too much room. A door no one knocks on. But there is another kind that feels harder to explain. It happens in a full room. In a life where names appear in notifications. Where someone asks how the day was. Where arms wrap around shoulders with real intention. Where love exists in plain sight, like light on the floor. And still, something inside stays untouched. This loneliness does not always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like calm. Like competence. Like being easy to be around. The person laughs at the right time. Responds with warmth. Remembers birthdays. Sends thoughtful messages. They are present in all the visible ways. Yet in the quietest part of them, there is an ongoing sense of distance. Not from people, exactly. But from the feeling of being reached. Love comes toward them, and it lands nearby. They hear the words, but they do not absorb them. They receive affection, but it does not settle. Compliments feel like they are meant for someone else. Care feels temporary, like a visitor who will eventually leave. So the person learns to translate love into safer categories. They call it nice. They call it supportive. They call it something to appreciate. But it does not become the one thing it was supposed to become, emotionally real. There is often guilt living inside this experience. A quiet self-interrogation. Why can't it be enough? Why does closeness still feel far away? Why does being loved not cure the feeling of being alone? And because the external evidence of love is undeniable, the loneliness becomes even more private. It gets hidden under gratitude. Under a smile. Under the performance of being okay. Sometimes the person is not lonely for people. They are lonely for resonance. For the feeling that someone sees the exact shape of what is happening inside them, without them having to translate it into acceptable words. For the relief of being met where they actually are, not where they can comfortably pretend to be. That is why this loneliness can show up even in good relationships. Even with kind partners. Even with devoted friends. Even in families that try. Because being loved is not the same as feeling held. And being surrounded is not the same as being accompanied. In this kind of loneliness, the world may be full, but the inner room remains quiet. And in that quiet, a person can start to believe something painful, that connection is for other people. That love is real, but not for them in a way that reaches the deepest place. They become the person who is cared about, and still feels separate. The person who is included, and still feels like an observer. The person who is loved, and still feels lonely. There is a reason some people can be loved and still feel alone. It is rarely because they are difficult to love. More often, it is because their mind learned, very early, how to live without being emotionally met. Not every childhood wound looks like chaos. Some are quiet. Some happen in homes that function. Homes with food, routines, school runs, clean clothes. Homes where nobody is openly cruel, and where the adults insist they tried their best. But a child does not only need provision. A child needs attunement. Someone who notices the difference between silence and sadness. Someone who can hold anger without shaming it. Someone who can stay present when the child's feelings are inconvenient, messy, or too big. When that kind of presence is inconsistent, a child adapts. Not with words. With instincts. They learn which emotions are welcomed and which ones make the room colder. They learn when closeness is safe and when it costs something. They learn that being easy is a kind of protection. So the child becomes skilled. Skilled at reading faces. Skilled at timing. Skilled at swallowing needs before they become visible. Skilled at becoming the version of themselves that keeps connection available. Sometimes the home is loving but emotionally overwhelmed. A parent is anxious, depressed, exhausted, distracted, or emotionally immature. Sometimes care is offered, but it arrives mixed with criticism. Sometimes affection is present, but it is conditional on performance, good grades, good manners, good moods. The child does not conclude, "My parent is struggling." The child concludes something simpler and more dangerous. My feelings are too much. My needs make people leave. Love is something you earn. And when love is earned, it cannot be trusted. Even if the parent says, "I love you," the nervous system learns a different language. Love can disappear. Love can change. Love can become irritation. Love can be withdrawn without warning. So the child builds an inner room. A place where they can feel quietly, alone. A place where disappointment can be managed privately. A place where longing can exist without the risk of asking for it to be met. This is how loneliness begins, not with isolation, but with self-containment. Over time, self-containment becomes identity. The person is praised for being mature, independent, low maintenance, the strong one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. And the praise reinforces the adaptation. It tells them the mask is their face. So later, when someone truly tries to love them, the love arrives to a person who is practiced at not needing. A person who is fluent in minimizing. A person who has spent years turning desire into something smaller, something safer. They may crave closeness deeply. But their system remembers, closeness has a cost. And that memory can make love feel strangely lonely, because the deepest parts learn to stay behind the door, even when someone knocks gently. To understand why love sometimes fails to reach someone, it helps to notice that connection is not only a thought. It is also a bodily state. A person can intellectually know they are loved, and still not feel it. Because feeling loved requires the nervous system to register safety. But even beyond labels, the experience is often physical. When love arrives, some bodies soften. Other bodies brace. A kind message can trigger suspicion. A gentle touch can create a subtle tightening. Not because the person dislikes it, but because their system has learned that closeness precedes demand, criticism, or abandonment. In polyvagal theory terms, the body may struggle to stay in a social, connected state when intimacy increases. Instead, it shifts into threat responses, fight, flight, or a quiet shutdown. That shutdown can feel like numbness, fog, or distance. Not dramatic panic, just a dimming. The lights go down inside. Polyvagal theory is associated with Stephen Porges. While influential, it is also debated in parts of the scientific community, so it's best held as a lens, not a verdict. This is why reassurance can sometimes deepen loneliness. Someone says, "You matter to me," and the person smiles, says thank you, and feels nothing. Or worse, They feel a hollow ache, because the words highlight how far away the feeling is. Kindness becomes a mirror. Not of love, but of their inability to receive it. There is also a quieter factor, difficulty identifying and describing internal emotion. Some people grow up without language for feelings beyond fine, tired, or stressed. Over time, emotions become vague sensations without names. In psychology, this can resemble alexithymia, difficulty recognizing and articulating feelings. When feelings are hard to locate, connection is hard to anchor. So love arrives like rain on sealed ground. It is real rain. But the soil cannot take it in yet. And because the person cannot prove what is happening, they often blame themselves. They assume they are broken, ungrateful, too guarded. But what looks like coldness is often protection. What looks like distance is often an old skill, staying functional when feeling was not safe. Their loneliness is not a lack of love around them. It is a lack of access inside them. And that difference changes everything. For someone who feels lonely even when loved, closeness can feel like standing at the edge of something beautiful and frightening. They want to step in. They want to be reached. But the moment intimacy becomes real, another part of them tightens. It does not speak loudly. It does not announce itself. It simply begins its quiet work, explaining, editing, avoiding, managing. This is the private conflict. One side longs for connection. The other side fears the cost of being fully seen. So they develop ways to stay near people without truly arriving. They become useful. They become agreeable. They become the person who listens, remembers, supports, and anticipates. It can look like kindness, and sometimes it is. But underneath, it can also be a strategy. If they are valuable, they are safer. If they are easy, they are kept. If they ask for nothing, they cannot be refused. They may also become exceptionally self-aware, but in a way that distances them from feeling. They can name patterns, analyze childhood, explain attachment, understand everyone's motives. The mind becomes an interpreter standing between them and their own heart. Overthinking can be a form of control. If everything is understood, nothing surprises. If nothing surprises, nothing hurts. And yet, the cost is subtle. Conversations remain clean. Emotions remain curated. When they speak about pain, it is often wrapped in humor or delivered with calm, as if it belongs to a past version of them. They reveal just enough to seem open, but not enough to feel exposed. Because exposure is where the old fear lives. The fear is not always that someone will leave. Sometimes it is that someone will stay, and finally see the parts that were kept hidden for survival. There is shame here, often quiet and constant. Shame that they need more reassurance than they can admit. Shame that they feel lonely around people who are trying. Shame that their inner world seems too complicated, too heavy, too difficult to translate. So they keep it private. They turn loneliness into something they handle alone, like a chronic ache. They become skilled at saying, "It's fine," with the exact tone that ends the conversation gently. And because they are so skilled, people believe them. Loved ones respond to what is shown. They cannot respond to what is concealed. This is how the loneliness maintains itself, not because nobody cares, but because the person's protective system makes sure the deepest need never fully enters the room. It is an exhausting way to live. To be close enough to be wanted, but guarded enough to never feel completely held. To receive love with the hands, while the heart stays slightly behind, watching. Turning points in quiet lives are rarely cinematic. They do not always arrive as dramatic confessions or sudden revelations. Sometimes they arrive as a sentence said too softly to count as a fight. Sometimes as a pause in a conversation where the person realizes they have been performing closeness again. Sometimes it happens when someone loves them well. A partner reaches for their hand with tenderness, and instead of comfort, there is irritation. A friend offers genuine care, and the person feels the urge to withdraw. A family member praises them, and it lands like pressure. In those moments, the loneliness becomes undeniable, not because love is absent, but because it is present and still cannot be received. That contradiction breaks something open. They begin to notice the pattern. The safest relationships are not always the closest ones. The people they can talk to for hours may be the ones they do not need. The ones who truly matter are the ones whose love stirs up fear. Because real intimacy is not only being liked. It is being known in ways that cannot be controlled. And control has been the invisible foundation for so long. The turning point can also arrive through exhaustion. The person realizes that being fine is not neutral. It is work. A constant quiet effort to stay composed, to stay easy, to stay acceptable. They start to feel the cost in their body, tightness, fatigue, numbness, a background sadness that does not lift. They may have a moment, alone, late at night, where they finally admit the truth without trying to soften it. I feel lonely, even when people love me. Not as a complaint. As a description. And for the first time, the loneliness is not treated like a personal failure. It is treated like a signal. A message from the deeper self that has been waiting behind the door. The realization is gentle, but it changes the story. Maybe the problem is not that love is missing. Maybe the problem is that receiving has been dangerous. Maybe the heart did not refuse love out of ingratitude. Maybe it refused because it learned that needing is risky, and that being fully seen can lead to disappointment. This is where compassion can enter, quietly, without fanfare. Not the kind of compassion that rushes to fix. The kind that simply recognizes, this loneliness has a history. And when something has a history, it has a logic. The turning point is not the moment loneliness disappears. It is the moment loneliness stops being a mystery. Healing, in this story, is not about becoming more social. It is not about finding more people. It is about the slow, unfamiliar act of letting love become real inside the body. For someone who learned early to survive through self-containment, receiving can feel like losing balance. It can feel like standing without armor. Even when the other person is safe, the nervous system may still react as if closeness is a risk. So the change is often subtle. It begins when the person notices the flinch. The small internal pullback when someone offers help. The quick, "I'm fine," that appears before they even check if it is true. The habit of turning tenderness into a joke. The urge to intellectualize a feeling instead of inhabiting it. These moments are not character flaws. They are protective reflexes, built when protection was necessary. And because they are reflexes, the path forward is not forcing openness. It is understanding the pace at which safety is learned. Sometimes receiving begins with allowing a single sentence to land. Not performing gratitude. not dismissing it, just letting it exist. You matter to me. And instead of translating it into logic, they're just being nice. There is a pause long enough to feel the body's response: warmth, resistance, disbelief, longing, grief. Grief is common here, because the first time someone truly allows themselves to receive, they may also feel what was missing before. The tenderness that arrives now highlights the tenderness that never arrived then. The nervous system does not only learn safety, it also remembers the absence of it. This is why healing can feel like sadness. Not because love is failing, but because love is finally touching the places that were left untouched. Receiving also changes the way connection is spoken. The person may begin to name their inner weather with more precision. Not in speeches, in simple truths. Something in me pulls away when you're kind. I get scared when things feel good. I don't know how to ask for reassurance without feeling ashamed. These are not demands. They are windows. And when a safe person stays present at the window, without mocking it, without rushing it, the nervous system learns through experience what it could never learn through logic: that closeness can be steady. Over time, co-regulation becomes possible. The person's body borrows calm from another body. Their breath slows in someone's presence. Their shoulders drop. Their laughter becomes less performative and more true. The loneliness does not vanish overnight. It thins. It becomes less like an identity and more like an old echo that visits sometimes. And the person begins to sense a new kind of closeness, not the dramatic feeling of being fixed, but the quiet feeling of being accompanied, without having to earn it. Loneliness does not always mean a lack of people. Sometimes it means a lack of permission inside the self to be reached. For a long time, the person may have believed their loneliness was proof of something wrong in them. A private defect. A missing part. Something that made them permanently different from those who can relax into love. But loneliness like this is often a record of intelligence. Not academic intelligence. Survival intelligence. A system that learned early how to keep going without reliable emotional shelter. A heart that became careful because it could not afford to be naive. A child who discovered that needing too much made the world feel dangerous, and who decided, silently, to need less. That decision worked. It kept them functional. It kept them liked. It kept them safe. But it also left them with a strange adulthood, being cherished and still bracing. Being included and still separate. Being loved and still alone in the deepest room. What changes, slowly, is not the amount of love around them. It is the distance between love and the place where it can be felt. Healing is often just that, reducing the distance. Not through force. Through repetition. Through steadiness. Through moments that teach the body a new fact. A hand that stays. A conversation that does not punish honesty. A silence that is not withdrawal, but rest. Over time, the inner room becomes less sealed. The person does not have to throw the door open. They only have to stop guarding it as if someone will break in. And when love is finally allowed to enter, when it is allowed to be imperfect and still safe, something quiet happens. The person begins to belong to their own experience. They can be loved without translating it into debt. They can be cared for without searching for the hidden cost. They can be seen without feeling like they are being evaluated. Loneliness may still appear, the way old weather returns. But it no longer defines the forecast. It becomes a feeling that passes through, not a sentence that stays. And perhaps that is the most human ending. Not a life without loneliness. A life where loneliness is no longer lived alone. Where love is not only something offered from the outside, but something that finally reaches the inside, softly, gradually, like warmth spreading through hands that have been cold for years.